Bang, Neeves Knives. I'm Jared. My lovely wife Kara is laying down right now, and today I am talking about the Civivi Fiend. This knife was sent to us by one of our awesome Patreon members, Ben, and he sent us a bunch of knives. Very awesome. We thank him for all his support, and we also thank all of our Patreons. So this knife's overall length is 7 inches, and the blade length is just under 3 inches. You can call it a 3-inch blade. It's really, really close. It's very close to the Civivi Hooligan. The Hooligan is just a pinch longer. It's also very close to the Spyderco Para 3 lightweight. And you know what? Since I got a bunch of Civivis up here, let's do it. The Elementum, Civivi Elementum, right there with it. And let's do one more, the Civivi Chronic, which is a little bit longer. Not by much, though. Civivi makes a lot of knives. I've realized in this, in this size. They make a lot of knives, period. So I guess they're just trying to hit everybody's blade length of where they live and stuff like that. So let's get into the good and the bad. All right, so I did sharpen this knife. I did it on aluminum oxide. I did it to a medium grip because this is D2, G10, steel liners, steel clip, and D2 seems to like more of a toothier edge. So I did put a beautiful edge on there. It is hair whittling, and yeah, great edge. It does have a beautiful thinly ground hollow ground blade. I measured this one at I think it was 11 thousandths. Very, very thin. The blade stock isn't too thick either. This thing does cut very, very well, and the ergos are pretty good on it also. I find that it's kind of similar to the Hooligan, and what I mean is that the blade shape is very similar, the way it cuts is very similar, the tip is very similar, it's all around uses are very similar. The one downfall to the Hooligan is this little notch right there, so it kind of pushes you in this area. Yeah, you can go over it, but then it feels a little more awkward than if you're tucked up in there, and then it kind of crushes your hand. The Fiend doesn't have that, so you have a better grip on the Fiend. So but yeah, and also you have this front choil, which is a good size choil, so it's got really, really good ergos. The jimping's really nice, and my placement for my hand, just because it is a smaller knife, I mean, some people might consider this a full-size knife to them, depending on where you live and everything. But with my hand, when I stay behind the flipper tab, my thumb would rather go right here, but I can put it there if I really want to. It's just I'm kind of pushing myself back. But using the choil, it definitely likes to be up there. But yeah, very useful blade shape. I mean, this is one of my favorite blade shapes, especially with that thinly ground, hollow ground grind it's got. The action on it is really nice. I really like this little straight part inside the hole because it gives you a spot to get really good leverage on the middle finger flick and the thumb flick. I mean, it's just really, really fidgety. You can get lots of good leverage, and the detent is nice and crisp, as Civivis usually are. Civivis kind of, I don't know if they're leading, but they're really close to leading the budget knives of, for quality, fit and finish, and just all around performance, especially with their grinds. The flipper tab, you can push button it or light switch it very easily. Like I said, the detent is very, very crisp, so it's kind of effortless, especially with the ball bearing pivot. When you unlock it, the detent ball is right there, so you can easily pass it right up. Now, it's not real drop shutty, even though it's on ball bearings, but you can easily swing it shut. And it's real easy just to unlock it, push it past the D10 ball, and slap it shut. Very, very nice. Also, the hole for using the whole deployment isn't chamfered, which is real, or no, it is chamfered, I'm sorry. It's chamfered, but it's not chamfered like heavily, so it still gives you a nice sharp angle. It actually doesn't even feel chamfered. That's probably why I didn't think it was. But it, yeah, it feels really nice. And using this thing, I mean, that's where it really shined to me. It was just cutting with it. It blazes through things. And it had a factory edge when I had it, and that's where I did most of the work, and it wasn't all bad factory edge. But I will say there was one little flat part back here that that I tried to sharpen out, but I didn't want to remove more steel than I had to get a good edge. But if you kind of look right there, you can kind of see it. I'll turn it up right. See if we can get it to show up right there. If you see that little shine right at the end right there, that part right there isn't really sharp, and it was almost like the edge went this way and then turned and rotated in. And I'm guessing when they were running it across the belt, it's just how it pushed into, you know, to the belt or whatever when they were sharpening it. Now the next sharpening will definitely sharpen that out, but it has plenty of choil, so it's not like that should have been intentional. Okay, so the G10 is Civivi's G10. It's all right. I mean, it's you know, G10. I do like how they use all T8 hardware. The only places I see T6 is on the clip, which is awesome because it's really nice when you can just use one Torx bit to take everything apart. The clip works great, fantastic. I mean, it's just a basic clip, but it's a very useful clip. I mean, obviously, they really like this clip. It's on all their budget knives, but you know, at least that way it you know, it can go on anything. And you know, I guess you can swap it out if I want to put a black clip on it and I have other Civivis, or you know, I don't know, it's easier for them and it helps them keep their price down. But it is, you know, kind of a boring clip because we're seeing it so much, but it's a very useful clip, good clip. Sits nice and deep too, very deep. The liners, full liners. You can see there is weight relief in there, and it's a good weight. It's nice and light. I mean, it's a small knife, so you don't really expect this thing to be heavy. Now for the bad. Okay, so one thing is this clip, I wish they would have recessed it inside there. I mean, come on, Civivi. I mean, you guys are supposed to be ahead of the game, on top of everything. I mean, look at CJRB right here. Look at that. See how the clip is inside the G10 and they use flat screws. At the very least, they could have used flat screws. Now, I didn't have really a problem, but I also didn't put it in thick pants. Now, if I would have been wearing thick jeans, or you know, like where you have that little leather piece on your pocket, and you know, like to get over like the you know, the seam, like the edge, you know, for like construction pants and stuff, it definitely would have a hard time squeezing in there because of the rounded heads. If they used flat heads, it'd be a lot better. Next bad thing is this little edge deal. It's kind of confusing to me why that happened, because it definitely was from the factory. And yeah, it just, you know, it was just an unsharpened spot, and it made it to where when I sharpened it, it wasn't coming out without me removing more steel than I had to. Now, like I said, it is sharp. I did get it all the way down to sharp. I just didn't get it as sharp as, and you can kind of see it right there. I just kind of left it up to the next sharpening, because that is one thing, you know, with sharpening. Sometimes it's not good to just remove steel just because, you know, and that's not going to hurt your cutting performance or anything. And it actually is kind of sharp back there because it's not like I left it untouched or anything. Next, okay, so the centering is on right now, but I did notice after I was flipping it a little bit, it did come uncentered, which isn't a big deal, just needs a little bit of Loctite. But it's something that, you know, I'm just naming because I felt like Civivi's before didn't really have that problem, at least all the other ones I dealt with. And then it seems like now it's starting to happen with Civivi's. And now I'm going to go on to my last bad thing, because this is a really good knife. So it's not like there's anything wrong with this knife. This is a great knife. But Civivi in general. Now, one thing you could say that it's a good thing because they're coming out with so many great knives and their fit and finish is awesome. And that the quality control is on such a good level, like such a high pedestal, that it's making all these other companies, you know, step up their game, which I love. I love that. So that's a good thing. But they're coming out with so many knives and they're trying to hit every single little corner of the knife community that it's becoming a little much. And I feel like, and this could be just me, but I'm starting to think that the quality is starting to go down just a bit. And like their G10, right? I was going to put this on the bad, but I'm not going to this time. But I don't think their G10 is great quality. I think it's a little less quality than a lot of other budget knives. I really do. The fit, you know, like the centering coming off, I had a problem with that with my Civivi Chronic. Now, yeah, it's just Loctite. It's not that big of a deal, but I feel like some of the earlier models didn't have that problem. The Hooligan wound up getting Lock Rock. And yeah, I fixed it. I even did a video on it. Not that big of a deal. It's all tuned up. Luckily, I could do something like that, but a lot of people might not be able to. And I feel like they're pushing them out so much that they're not having the quality control like they used to in the beginning. Now, that could be just me thinking that, you know, because I have them on such a high pedestal, and it could be just something that's just a normal things that happen. But I did hear that a lot of people's Hooligans did the same thing. So, you know, maybe, you know, and you'd think this would be something that I want, you know, the more knives they push out, the more I have on the channel, the more newer knives, the more views, the more this, the more that, but I don't. I'd rather them make good quality knives and be impressive for me to recommend them to people than to just pump out, you know, 100 different models and some of them not be up to par as other ones. I feel like, and it's kind of hard to say because does it really matter? Not really, but you know, it is a thing, and their quality is still at a very high standard. I'm not trying to knock them down, so I hope nobody takes it like I am. I just feel like if you are worried about quality control and you only have, say, 10 models to worry about, that's going to be a lot easier for you than trying to worry about 75 models. And maybe I'm just thinking that, and maybe they have it under control and it's not a big deal at all. You know, I could be just talking crap. I don't know. But I just feel like that their quality compared to the way it was before is starting to work its way down. I mean, even in the beginning, they came out with titanium clips. And I know they only changed it probably to save a few bucks is one thing, but also people were bitching about them not being as good as deep carry clips. But, you know, I just feel like they're starting to cut corners and it's starting to show. But this knife is still awesome and I still love it, and, you know, it is what it is. It still is a great knife for the money. So, peace!